welcome to the Speeding Bulletin. My name is Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com, and because I was away last week, this is an extended edition of this video report. So where was I last week? In front of Superman Escape, the ride at Warner Brothers Movie World at the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. Outside the Daily Planet at Warner Brothers Movie World. I had a great time and it was nice to take a break, but now that I'm back, let's take a look at what took place in the world of Superman between September 30th and October 13th, 2011. In movie news, the UK's Daily Mail published photos of Russell Crowe on location in Vancouver wearing what appears to be his Jor-El clothing. While both Henry Cavill and Amy Adams were photographed in Vancouver, with Cavill sporting a beard while filming scenes set in a fishing village in Alaska, with Amy Adams wrapped up in a cozy jacket, turtleneck, gloves and scarf by the water's edge, and also at the Cassidy Hotel, where she was reportedly filming a scene in which Lois interviews a waitress at an Alaskan truck stop. Zimbio.com posted a collection of photos of Ayelet Zurer on set in Vancouver. Ayelet was a last-minute inclusion to the cast of Man of Steel, replacing Julia Ormond in the role of Lara, Superman's Kryptonian mother. Michael Shannon participated in a few interviews recently, telling the LA Times that Man of Steel is, and I quote, "unlike anything I've ever done. It's massive sets, it's literally another world, it's the first time I've acted on another planet." Superman actor Christopher Reeve is amongst the nominees for the New Jersey Hall of Fame's 2012 class. Whether or not Chris is inducted into the Hall of Fame is up to voters. Cast your ballot at njhalloffame.org. The top vote getters in each category will be inducted in June 2012. Hot Toys released another image of their upcoming Superman the Movie Christopher Reeve figure on the anniversary of his passing 7 years ago. You can pre-order your Superman collectible figure through the Superman homepage now. Superman homepage writer Isaac Frisby has updated our Young Justice animated series episode guide with a summary of the most recent Season 1 episodes, Homefront and Alpha Male. Isaac has also written his review of these episodes, giving both a 5 out of 5, calling Alpha Male a great episode that allowed us to refocus on the whole team again. Cartoon Network and DC Entertainment have released the episode description for Revelation, this week's new episode of Young Justice. In this episode, plant creatures attack major cities around the world, and the team is eager to join the fight alongside the Justice League. Instead, Batman assigns them a still more dangerous task, taking out the plant's masters, a secret society of supervillains, the Injustice League. Revelation airs on Friday, October 14th at 6:30 PM on Cartoon Network. Look for our episode summary and review early next week. Warner Home Video sent out a press release for Smallville the Complete Series collection, which will be released the same day and date as Smallville the Complete 10th season. Flying into homes November 29th, Smallville the Complete Series features over 192 hours of content, including all 218 episodes, over 5 hours of newly added special features, a retrospective look at the series with over 100 minutes of season featurettes, a decade of Comic-Con featurette, and more. While on the topic of Smallville, that 100-minute retrospective on the complete series will screen during the 2011 New York Comic Con this week. The retrospective will screen on Saturday, October 15th from 2 PM at room 1B01 at the New York Comic Con, which is taking place at the Javits Center in New York. Smallville stars Callum Blue, who played Zod, and Elena Huffman, who played Black Canary, will both be attending the Armageddon Expo in Melbourne, Australia on October 22nd to 23rd, 2011. The Armageddon Expo will take place at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre and Auditorium from 9 AM to 6 PM on both days. Book tickets via cultureshockevents.com. On Saturday, October 15th, Noelle Neal will be making her second and final brief appearance of 2011 when she appears as a special guest at the Wild Western Festival in Glendale, Arizona from 11 AM to 2 PM. Visit wildwesternfestival.com for further details. DC Comics announced this week that it is experiencing its best comic book sales in more than 20 years, following the historic renumbering of all DC Comics titles with 52 all-new first issues. With sales of more than 5 million copies in only 6 weeks, the first issues of DC Comics The New 52 are generating international headlines and bringing fans back into comic book stores across the country. Newsarama.com has confirmed that George Perez will be stepping down from the writing and artistic duties on the Superman monthly comic book after issue number 6, and will be replaced by writer Keith Giffen and artist Dan Jurgens, while DC Comics announced that Andy Kubert will be stepping in to take on the artistic duties for a special 2-issue arc in issue 5 and 6 of Action Comics. Rags Morales will return as a regular artist on the title with issue number 7. USA Today caught up with Action Comics writer Grant Morrison to examine the second issue of the recently relaunched comic book title. He said, "Definitely we needed to see a Superman who could be beat up a little bit and could suffer a little bit more like us, rather than the character who could juggle planets. That was a definite decision, and also to bring him to a dead standstill." ComicBookResources.com interviewed Supergirl writers Michael Green and Mike Johnson to get their thoughts on the relaunch of The Maid of Might and what we can expect from upcoming issues. Johnson said, "The plot is going to come. It's more important that we get into the plot once we already have gotten readers into Kara's point of view and sympathising with her, and then we get into the juicy plot stuff which is going to unfold over the opening issues." Comic books we reviewed this past 2 weeks included Superman number 1, which was reviewed by Adam DeShannel, who gave it a 5 out of 5 rating, saying, "This first issue has me filled with optimism." Adam also reviewed Young Justice number 8, saying, "While a feast for the eyes was not actually all that interesting," and he gave it a 3 out of 5. Teen Titans number 1 was reviewed by Sean Morrissey, who said, "This isn't a remarkable story, but it is fun," and he gave it a 3.5 out of 5. This week Michael Bailey reviewed Action Comics number 2, giving it a 3 out of 5 rating, saying it had all the elements of an enjoyable issue. While DC Universe Online Legends number 15 was reviewed by Jeffrey Taylor, who gave it a 3 out of 5 rating. Superman comics available this week from October 12th include Superboy number 2, Superboy number 1 second printing, DC Comics presents JLA Age of Wonder number 1, Superman Mon-El Volume 2 Man of Valor trade paperback, and Superman Nightwing and Flamebird Volume 2 trade paperback. In other news, Six Flags has released details on the Lex Luthor Drop of Doom ride, set to be open at their Magic Mountain theme park in Los Angeles in spring 2012, which will be the world's tallest vertical drop ride once completed. Lex Luthor Drop of Doom is attached to both sides of the iconic Superman escape from Krypton Tower. You'll be pulled to the top of the 400-foot tower, experience a brief pause, then drop at speeds of up to 85 miles per hour. After the 5-second freefall, you will be stopped by a sophisticated magnetic braking system just a few feet from the ground. Sony Online Entertainment announced the release of Game Update 5 for DC Universe Online, titled The Fate of the Fortress. The latest game update features the first DC Universe Online raid to take place within the walls of the fortress. Players continue to fight alongside Superman and Lex Luthor as the battle moves deeper into the magnificent Arctic hideout. Speaking of video games, Chilingo and Tiger Games will be releasing a Superman game for iPhone and iPads next month. The 18-level game will allow players to use Superman's powers of flight, strength and heat vision in order to earn bronze, silver or gold medals as they attempt to complete each level. Remember Mike Meyer, the mentally disabled Superman fan who had a large part of his Superman collection stolen by an ex-work colleague? You'll recall that Superman fans from all over the world donated items through the Super Friends of Metropolis fan group to send to Mike. Then police located the thief and were able to return Mike's stolen items to him. Well, there's a final twist in the tale. Mike decided to go to the St. Louis Children's Hospital with Keith Howard from Super Friends of Metropolis group and donate the gifts he received from concerned fans to the children as prizes for their weekly bingo game. Nicely done. The Superman homepage Super Trivia Quiz has been updated for another month. This time around, the 3 questions we're asking you are: in the 2011 Action Comics number 1, which newspaper does Clark Kent work for? In the Young Justice animated series episode Targets, what is the name of the fictional country negotiating for peace between its northern and southern regions? And what are the names of the 2 actresses who played Lois Lane's mother in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman TV series? If you think you know the answer to all 3 questions, come by the site now to submit your entry. Don't forget that the Superman homepage hosts a live radio KAL broadcast every week for Superman fans to come chat on air about the Man of Steel. Our next show will be broadcast on Monday, October 17th at 9:30 PM in the US. To listen in, visit supermanhomepage.com/live at the designated time. During the live broadcast, you can phone 714-242-6186 or click on the Skype icon, which is available during the show, to talk to us on air about the Man of Steel. Lastly, in a story that had fit nicely on Chloe Sullivan's Wall of Weird, a Superman fan in the Philippines by the name of Herbert Chavez is such a big fan that he not only wanted to be like the Man of Steel, but look like him too. Chavez underwent plastic surgery to change his face and body to be more like his fictional idol, altering his chin, nose, lips, eyes, skin and thighs. That's all the news that took place in the world of Superman from September 30th to October 13th. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone and welcome to Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. It's good to see you. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about Superman #1. There are a few things that bother me in this story. In general, I thought it was drawn very, very well, and it was very story-heavy and character development thick. There was a lot to read here. It was the book that took me the most time to read it, and there was a lot to take in. I did not go back and read it a second time because after reading out of all the books, this was the one I wasn't completely sure about. Superboy, I knew I didn't like very much. I'm going to keep reading it. I want to find out how the character develops, but I thought the art was very sloppy, and I wasn't sure where they were going with a lot of the characters. Red in that book goes from looking like a chubby boy or man to looking like a skinny, geeky female lab scientist, and I'm not sure why the art has to be so sloppy. In this book, the art's very good, but a lot of Superman's dialogue is very bad. It's cliched, and it reeks of like Super Friends from the 80s or some of the old Superman shows from the 70s. There's also a page very early in the book where there's this weird alien playing some sort of alien horn, and they tell us to read Stormwatch to find out more of the mystery. I hated this page. It had nothing to do with the story, and it seems nothing more than an ad for us to read Stormwatch, a book that I'm not interested in at all, and I understand that it's a business and they're trying to get us to go ahead and look at a book that we might not look at, but I think this was a bad way to do it, and it has nothing to do with the story, apparently. I mean, maybe it'll develop further, but I have no interest in the Wildstorm comic, and I thought this was a throwaway page and very bothersome, and it took us out of the story that we were supposed to be reading. Now on to Superman's dialogue. Hey guys, you know Metropolis outlawed nighttime drag racing, as he's picking up their car. Very bad. He then says his arms are tired. I thought this was interesting because I wonder if he really means that his arms are getting tired, because the creative teams did say he would be less powerful in this new continuity, or if he's just saying that, as we've heard him say similar things like that before, to just get them to hurry up and make a decision because he is going to throw them into space or whatever he's going to do. Later on, he says to the fire creature, "It's time you got snuffed." Again, just very, very bad dialogue, unnecessary, and he doesn't really need to say something like that. Toward the end, he says to the fire creature, "You've been doing all the pitching. Now let's see if you can catch." Again, just very dumb, very bad dialogue, and I hated it, and I hope that they get away from that as we move forward, because a lot of the character development and story here was written very well. And lines like this just make me groan and take me out of the story. It also has kind of a double entendre thing, which I don't know that they were going for on purpose or not, but who knows. Lois in the story is pretty well perfectly handled. She's given a new job. She's given a lot of responsibility, and she's shown as a tough journalist who gets things done her way and doesn't put other people in danger or make decisions for other people while doing it. Morgan Edge shows anger toward her in the middle because she didn't continue with the footage, and rather she pulled her people out of there, but she gets it done anyway, and toward the end we find out that Morgan's happy with her for having done it. and this shows Lois in a great light. She knows what to do. She knows how to do it, and she doesn't need bosses telling her what to do. She even hangs up on Morgan at one point and tells him to get the hell off the phone, and that is Lois to me. Clark is shown as the beacon of journalistic integrity. He's angry that Morgan Edge and his multimedia conglomerate have taken over the Daily Planet, and this is vintage Clark. This is the Clark we've come to know, the Clark that we would expect. So it's not wholly original, but it is getting back to some of the characteristics of both of these characters that have been missing from the Superman books for some time. Jimmy changes from panel to panel. His hair is sometimes brown, sometimes blonde, and sometimes it's almost red. And he looks very different here than he does in Action Comics #1. I realize it's 5 years later, but who knows why his look would change from panel to panel so much. Again, it just seems like the colors are a little off. But otherwise, the art in the book's very, very good. I've heard people say that the Daily Planet globe would likely be put in a museum instead of used as a plot device to destroy the villain. I don't know. I mean, if the New York Times or the Washington Post or something got a new building and they went modern, I'm not sure that they would necessarily pick up any piece of a broken down building to put in a museum. They might not. I don't think it's a sticking point. Casey, the cop who helps Lois at the end of the story, I probably would have gone with the name Henderson here. But they don't. Instead, they create a new character whom is either going to be throwaway or maybe they're going to establish as someone important as we go on. But that's all for now, everybody. Thanks for watching. My name is Scotty V, and always look up in the sky.